Every person you deal with in industry, unless they're the CEO and they founded the company, have to justify, like, why are they spending that? The more that you can make their job easier, explain to them how they're going to get value, the better the relationship's going to be.
Hello, and welcome to the Partnerships podcast series by UIN. I'm Sarah Jabber, Director at UIN, and your host for today. In this episode, I'm joined by Lori Glover, Executive Director of Strategic Alliances at MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Lab, otherwise known as CSAIL. Lori shares how CSAIL built one of MIT's largest industry collaboration programs, creating multiple pathways for companies to engage with groundbreaking research. From tiered partnerships and matchmaking between faculty and industry, to navigating a rich and complex innovation landscape, this conversation offers practical lessons on building trust, demonstrating value, and designing collaborations that last. I'm really pleased to welcome Lori Glover to this fireside chat and to welcome all of you. Lori is the Executive Director of Strategic Alliances at MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Lab, CSAIL, where she leads external engagement across a portfolio of ambitious, high-impact initiatives. She brings a lot of insight into what it takes to build strategic, scalable partnerships in a world-leading research environment. So from financial technology, machine learning to the future of data, Lori has played a pivotal role in shaping how MIT connects cutting-edge research with the real world. She's also the author of a recently published book, Innovation Alchemy, which distills her experience into practical guidance for building partnerships that deliver both economic and societal value. And in our conversation today, we're going to explore how CSAIL's approach to collaboration is evolving and has evolved over the years, how researchers are supported in building external engagement, and what others can learn from this model. Lori, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So you've spent 20 years in partnerships, and now you've been leading strategic alliances at CSAIL, which is, I think, one of the largest labs at MIT, but also, I'd say, globally.
Yeah, it is. It is the largest lab at MIT. We have over 1,700 people. So it's not just one or two faculty, we have 135 faculty.
Wow.
Over 1,000, I know, it's huge. We have over 1,000 PhD students, over 900 active projects, if you think about it. And at MIT, it's interesting because the faculty have teaching appointments in departments, but research appointments in labs. So this one lab, CSAIL, represents all 5 schools at MIT, the college, and 14 different departments across the institute. So it's really like a slice across all of MIT with the foundation in computation.
Wow. Can you tell us a bit about maybe the history? How did it come together? And also how has the approach to partnerships evolved for CSAIL?
Sure, absolutely. CSAIL actually has been around since 2003. It is the formation, or I should say, the joining of 2 of MIT's powerhouse labs. So people think, artificial intelligence is new. And no, we've had the AI lab at MIT since 1959. So it was the AI lab and the lab for computer science, which is around, I think, 62 or 63. The 2 labs merged in 2003. And that's where you get the acronym CSAIL, Computer Science Artificial Intelligence Laboratory. And obviously, over the years, the importance of connecting with industry has really taken shape. At CSAIL, our mission really is to improve the way people live, work, play, and learn globally through computation. And at MIT, it's very much mind and hand. So it is doing, and how do we make an impact, and how do we help improve people's lives? As I've said in my book many times, academia, we don't create products. We need to partner with industry to get the great research and technologies and ideas out of academia and into the marketplace so they can be commercialized and they can make a real impact. And that is just an important part of how we look at these partnerships. And we started partnerships at MIT has had the industrial liaison program since World War II. And so it's in the DNA for a long time of working with industry. But CSAIL looked to build their own industry partnerships. And I want to say it was around for about 5 years before I was brought on to build it and really expand it. It was very small. It didn't really have a whole lot of engagement, like thought behind it. And then I was brought on to build the program, which is now the second largest industry program at MIT, second only to ILP, and they've been around for 78 years, I think.
So is it a similar approach? And for those that don't know ILP, maybe, or no, it's different.
Very different.
Okay,
Very
can you tell
different.
us more about your approach?
Sure. This is at CSAIL, it's really important about what the faculty obviously do for their research and also what they're willing to do, how to work with industry. And CSAIL is built really on, I'd say, the ingredients that I had to work with there, because the faculty are quiet. They're not the jump on a table and look at everything I've done. They are incredibly brilliant and they do this really great work. But what they really needed was a translator. Like I joke that what I really am is a matchmaker and a translator. In how to take that research and the incredible things that they're doing and the new technologies that are being invented, and how to match that with the challenges that industry is seeing, and how to bring it out of the lab into a place where it can really make the impact that faculty are looking to make. And once we get it out and industry can commercialize it, has a great economic impact for the broader region or world. So that's really the path, I guess, that I look at doing: matchmaker and translator.
I love those terms. We use them. Yeah, translator, navigator, I don't know, octopus, so many different terms that you can use to describe the role. So in terms of kind of the scale or approach towards collaboration, so it's mostly research projects. Do you have strategic partnerships? How do you maybe not necessarily manage them, but more approach them?
Oh, absolutely. So it's really, luckily, I was given kind of a blank slate. It had a little bit going on, but it was take 3 or 4 months, get the lay of the land, and be able to build something that will really work for CSAIL. And that's really important for anybody thinking on how to build these, is really understand what you want, but what's possible given I'd say ingredients that you have to work with. And consequently, I realized talking to industry partners, not only there were a few that had been members, but also my contacts. What would you look for? And what it comes down to is industry is definitely interested in research, new technologies, obviously talent, professional education, keeping the workforce up to date, and startups connecting with those new disruptive technologies that are coming out. So I built a strategic plan. We started with, I would say, the most easy to identify, built really an affiliate program to start to connect. And then from there, built out all the different pieces where we've got affiliates, we've got technology, we've got the research initiatives, which are at the mid-tier, where they're consortia style, where each member company comes in, they pay the same amount, they sit on the executive board, they help shape the problems, and they then vote on which ones get funded. And then strategic partnerships, where we have two kind of different levels. We say lab-wide and then strategic. And lab-wide is sponsored research across multiple different groups where there's a main focus of something the company really wants to build on. And then really strategic, which is 7 to 10 years, multiple groups, really expansive, deep partnerships.
Yeah.
And the way that it's structured, it's like a pyramid, but it's multiple pathways in, because especially with an industry that isn't familiar with working with a university, if you come and say, I want $400,000, it's whoa, exactly why. So we built multiple tiers of an easy way in, and to get to know what's going on, get to build relationships, have small wins that you can build on and build trust and a real working relationship. And from there, yes, things do grow. And many companies will start out as an affiliate, sponsor research, do student fellowships, really grow the relationships in multiple different areas. And that's just a really, I think, really important way of taking the time to build the relationships and have lots of fruit from the collaboration.
Yeah, you've touched on a number of really important, interesting points. The first one around build on the ingredients of what you have. So context is really important. We'll get to that in a second, because I think you do have quite a unique context that maybe not all universities have. But I also like you mentioned a kind of a pyramid, but it doesn't always just mean that everything's moving up that way. I like the different touch points. I'm curious, how does that look from an industry perspective? Because one thing we often hear is that universities can be very hard to navigate. How do you find the front door? You just talked about the scale of CSAIL, more than 130 faculty, 1,000 students, multiple schools. How does that work from the industry perspective?
That is an excellent question. And yes, I mean, we hear that a lot about how difficult universities are to navigate. So one of the first things is let industry know you want to work with them. So that's a big piece of what I built out at CSAIL, was our website and our social. And I do a lot of speaking at industry engagements, letting them know how to connect with us. And I will say too, MIT is a large university with many different groups. We have 48 that I know of that work with industry. So, again, we're CSAIL, we're computer science, artificial intelligence. It's also good that we're out there talking to industry, but maybe we're not the best place. And we're also great at collaborating and saying, we may not be the best place for you, but supply chain, maybe the supply chain group, STM, system, it's early in the morning for me. I'm forgetting what it stands for, but maybe they're the best place. So really helping industry also make connections, I think is really important. And the more that you can kind of go behind the curtain and see what it's all about and help industry make those connections, the stronger the relationship becomes.
That is very true. How do you coordinate that across such a large institution with many different research groups? Do you have like your equivalents of you in the different research groups you get together, or how does it work?
So yeah, my job is only CSAIL. During the pandemic, I took a look at what I call it the industry engagement landscape document. Everybody at MIT, who's doing what? Do we have common faculty? Do we have common industry companies we're working with? All of those different things, and put it all in a document. And then invited everybody to lunch once we could get back together after the pandemic. And this group has become what we call Starship. It's because it's kind of a nerdy reference, but the most important thing is we meet monthly and we share the low-hanging benefits with each other. And we do make references, like we'll help one another. There's just so many things that we can do together, collaboration instead of competition. And companies, industry doesn't usually have just one need from a university. They've got many. So the more that we can help the companies navigate to the right places in an efficient manner, the better the relationship's going to be.
Yeah, excellent. Starship, I like that. Going back to talking a little bit around the context. So MIT sits at the heart of a very vibrant and strong innovation ecosystem, good connections with industry, also strong reputation for industry engagement and innovation. And I assume you then engage with a range of different partners, so large corporates, startups, governments. How do you not manage necessarily, but how do you navigate that ecosystem that you sit within and make sure you find the right people to be bringing in or speaking with?
Yeah, absolutely. So Kendall Square in Boston, Cambridge, is an amazing ecosystem. It absolutely is. So many companies have toeholds there through like the Cambridge Innovation Center and other things. And it is a great place to be located. And yes, MIT does have a great reputation. It's wonderful. But I will say that it is not build it and they will come. It is not a slam dunk. Every company I talk to says, sure, sign me up. It is not that way. So it is really the kind of the same. I guess for MIT, the brand recognition, sure, that someone will come and talk to you. But ultimately, how do you make that value proposition? Whether you're MIT or a college that doesn't have the global brand, you still need to build that value proposition as to why work together. And that is a big thing with the approach that I have through alliances and that I talk about in the book a lot, is it is a partnership. It's a handshake. It's not philanthropy. I mean, philanthropy is wonderful, but that's not really what I do. And having to build that value proposition and help companies understand we're a partner. We don't compete with you. We're building things that you can use and helping share information that will make your organization better. And these are long-term partnerships. It's not transactional. We're not a vendor that you pay X for and you get Y. It's how do we really help work together to help both of us achieve our goals? And that's really what it's built on.
Yeah, exactly. It's about people. And what you mentioned earlier, you can't just go and ask someone for a few $100,000 without making it clear, firstly, why, but also having built some kind of relationship with that organization, with that person.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause every person you deal with in industry, I mean, unless they're the CEO and they founded the company, they have to justify, like, why are they spending that? Whether it's to their boss or to their shareholders, or why are they doing what they're doing? And the more that you can make their job easier, explain to them how they're going to get value. And I say spoon feed, but we do engagement reports every year with every one of our companies. We tell them this is what you did, both the tangible bucket and the intangible bucket. So, definitively, you've saved X number of dollars using discounts on our professional ed courses, but also intangibly, you got to meet these people. You sat in strategic sessions with like all of these different things so that your champion within the company can go and say, look at all the value I got. And they can extrapolate it how they see how they used those things to enforce the positive nature of the relationship and be able to justify, listen, we're getting a lot out of this
Yeah.
and we need to continue this.
Yeah, I really like that, the intangible impact in a way. How do you track and measure some of these outcomes throughout the year?
That's a great question. And we do try as best as we can track. We can't possibly know everything. We can tell a company how many events you were invited to, how many complimentary tickets you use. That's a tangible piece.
Hmm.
As far as also like the courses and how much money you saved. Our members get 20% off, not just our courses, but Sloan, Professional Ed, X-Pro, like everything MIT offers, which is a huge savings if you add it up. But on the intangible side, we like a good example is for companies that want to recruit students. They have lots of choices. And if a company is going to invest money and time of their people, it's not always just money, it's time too, to come to a career fair, to bring all their things there and try and connect with students, and no one knows who you are, no one's going to come to your booth.
Mm.
So a big part of it is helping to build your brand awareness on campus. It's a investment like, I don't know, was it something like $500,000 for an ad in the New York Times or something like that? It's like, we don't charge anything near that, and we can help you really build your brand on campus. And we do that through different announcements and letting the people know, but you can also come and do tech talks where we invite students and faculty from across the institute to understand the challenges that you're working on. We do case studies and ways the companies are engaging with us. So we do a lot to help the companies build their brand on campus. And so students, when they do come, the students, oh, I've heard of them. Oh,
Yeah.
I'd like to talk to them. And it's, again, it's not transactional. It's not, oh, I gave you this, now I get it. It's like
Yeah.
building the relationship, taking the time and making sure that there is awareness. And it's an intangible because you can't quantify it per se,
Hmm.
how many people know about you. But you know that now you've invested the time, that now you've got people reaching out to you, people responding to your call for proposals, or
Yeah,
students lining up to come and talk to you. It's definitely, it comes out to be something that, again, you didn't pay for. It's not a transaction, but it's a benefit.
it is for sure. Maybe kind of building on this, you talk now about raising awareness for students, for faculty through covering or giving visibility to what the company has been doing. What about on the internal side? So you also said at the start, some of the faculty you work with, they can be relatively quiet, not loud, and want to showcase everything that they're doing. What role do you think culture, mindset, having the right or nurturing the right skills for partnerships, for engagement, does that play? And how do you go about that?
So we try and help showcase the faculty's work in a way that's digestible. So we do spotlights of the faculty where we'll ask them to talk about their work, but really how it has impact, how it relates to industry challenges. So they're not long, deep lectures. They're 10 minutes short, and they really help translate in the faculty's own words what they're doing and the impact to that. And we showcase it. We use marketing. We're promoting the faculty and helping them talk about what they do and how impactful it can be. And lots of times the industry will see something on our website and they'll say, oh, I heard about Professor so-and-so. I'd like to, engage. How do I talk to that faculty? And then we start talking about no one has to join CSAIL to talk to faculty. You can talk to them, but it's better if we help frame it first, make sure that it isn't just, oh, I'd love to talk to Ron Rivest. He invented RSA. Great. He can't, if they're talking to people just all the time, they can't do their research. So we try and
Yeah.
help manage how those things work.
Do you want to be a part of a global community where universities, businesses, and public organizations come together to solve the world's biggest challenges? At UIIN, we equip our members with the skills, tools, and strategies they need to create impactful partnerships that drive real-world change. Whether it's upskilling your team, strengthening your institution's partnership efforts, or becoming more entrepreneurial, UIIN empowers you with the knowledge and support you need. Join us today. Visit uiin.org to find the best plan for your organization.
Yeah, great. You probably have faculty that kind of have this internal drive to want to do it. They do applied research. They want to work with industry.
Absolutely. I mean, some definitely do. Others really haven't had a whole lot of opportunity to work with industry, but they certainly can. It's, again, especially in the United States, obviously right now, it's challenging with the federal grant situation. And lots of faculty are, looking like, well, I've never worked with industry before. Can I? And it's just helping to frame it as it's a little different. Industry, it's all about ROI. It's all about, I need this. The federal government in the US, again, always used to fund fundamental research. Industry was more of the applied, but that doesn't mean it has to be only applied. If fundamental is never funded, some of those grand ideas like RSA that let us shop and bank online never get traction. So it really is a broader way. And we have different programs that will fund, like through the initiatives. They're all things that companies are interested in. Usually the top few everybody agrees on, and then it's a little give and take on what gets funded. But we make sure that some of the kind of longer term things also get funded, because especially in AI, it's just moving so quickly. If we were sitting here a year ago, we wouldn't be talking about agentic. Agentic AI has actually been around since the 80s. It's just now it's getting all
everyone's aware of it.
Yeah, okay. So, but if you never funded it, never looked at it and gave it treatment to grow early on, it doesn't develop into something that's really useful. So it's really understanding the long term. And again, it's partnership, not transactional.
Exactly. Maybe on that transactional versus relational, there's a question that's come from one of the listeners, which is that one of the biggest hurdles often from an industry point of view is how do you agree on IP that's generated? How do you deal with that? And the second part of the question is, does the fact that where you sit, so being a part of MIT, does that impact maybe the approach? And would you do it differently if you were at a different institution?
Okay. So two parts to that. First of all, definitely IP is different in the US than it is in other parts of the world. And we have BIDOL, which is the act in 1980 that let universities own the IP and be able to commercialize it. Two kind of pieces to this. In universities, again, we don't create products, but we do invest a lot in the materials, the people, and everything to create the pieces. But our fundamental business, it's teaching and research. And I'm going to approach this really from a research standpoint. The research is what we do. The research is what we care about. If we just gave away IP blindly, then we would have to keep going back to the company and saying, oh, hey, I'd like to try and do something more with that. Can I have it back and build on it again? Like, that's where it really gets challenging. And I always like to use the example of Professor Dina Katabi. She is brilliant, and she 10, 12, oh my God, 10, 12 years ago now, she was trying to solve the problem of very, very accurate indoor geolocation. That's the problem she wanted to solve. How do you have something that tracks where a person is literally down to their finger without having them wear anything? You developed a technology called Wi-Fi, and it's 1,000 times smaller than your cell phone. It bounces off the body, and it can be collected, if you will, by the technology, and will tell you exactly where a person is within a few centimeters in the location. So she solved the problem. There's so many people that want to have that. We can license it for sure, but if we gave it up, we wouldn't be able to continue to push the boundaries on what else can it do. And over the course of several years, she's able to determine that same technology could take heart rate and breathing rate at medical grade quality without ever putting anything on a patient. And then came artificial intelligence and machine learning innovations. Now you can feed things in as features, and you can determine a person's gait. You can determine if a person is sitting intentionally, sleeping, like sitting down, laying down, or falling. And you've got put all those things together, you can monitor health without ever having anything invasive. You don't have to wear anything to have someone push a button. You don't have to have video. You just have this, and it sends, she's got this company now, Emerald, and it sends you texts and says, you should watch out, your elderly parent is experiencing some distress today. You may want to check. And then she even built in, now she's got the same technology, and it's used to determine early onset of Parkinson's and other things. Like, none of that could happen if we just gave it away or sold it, whatever.
Yeah.
You're in the research business. And for each one of those innovations, as things keep changing, it's new opportunities. Yes, it's new products. It's new opportunities to do more impact. And companies should be more comfortable with the concept of licensing and not always ownership. Because again, we're in this together as a partnership. We're doing the research. We're advancing it constantly. And what's happening today could be very different than what you need 5 years from now. And we're constantly pushing that research. It's kind of like we're doing that for you. And then when the new innovation comes, it's available for you to license and then use in your business. So it's really a side-by-side partnership.
Yeah, and it's exploring or building on the different pathways to impact. So productization is one, but advancing that research and thinking about different applications is something, as you said, you keep doing and you have to keep doing in your research.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Lori, I mentioned at the start that you've recently published a new book, Innovation Alchemy, where you've really built on your experience and created a practical roadmap for partnerships. Maybe in the last couple of minutes we have together, you could share some. You've of course already touched on a few, such as that importance of not fixating maybe on the transactional, building up the relationship, that communication, trust building. But I'd love to hear from you. What are some key lessons from your experience that you think would be relevant for other institutions?
Absolutely. So kind of on both sides, I do share one case of a company that is, I'm sorry about my poster child of what not to do. And, it's you coming in and you're all excited and you're deeply invested and you do something for like 2 years, and then there's a change in management or a change in direction and you pull back and you don't talk to someone for 3 years. And then you come back again. Like the ping pong loses so much. I think, and I have in the book, in the part 4, there are a lot of worksheets and ways to think through things. I've been doing this at MIT, but also at other institutions, and I have consulted with companies too on how to think about setting up your relationships with universities. Very rarely will one university do absolutely everything for you. So how do you think about what your main goals are and how to evaluate what universities really should be good partners in that space and how to start to explore those partnerships? And from a university standpoint, how to think about, again, the same thing, like companies. You want them to employ your graduates. You have alignment for research. How do you approach these different things? And for companies, yeah, there are a lot of universities out there that would love to work with you. Fantastic. How do you make the right connections? It is about understanding the ingredients you have to work with and really making the best alignment. I have tons of examples in the books of things of universities and companies you may not even think of as aligning at all, and how they found an area that's really important to both of them and they built a great strategic relationship. So it really is important. And yes, the book is great. It's on Amazon and all, but just also innovationalchemy.net is my book's website. And there's like worksheets on there and articles, and hopefully this will also be on there and other podcasts and things I've done. So you get a sense of different ways to approach it and really make it a win-win for everybody.
Exactly. Thank you, Lori. That's I think a great line to end on, making it a win-win for everybody. But I think what you just shared now towards the end, it's something we also really stress when we're working with universities or companies, defining your goals. Why do you want to partner? And then using that to explore, okay, who are we going to partner with and how are we going to do it? Not sometimes starting with, oh, I want to, I don't know, have a strategic partnership. Okay.
Exactly. It's investing like any partnership. It's investing the time to really understand what you're bringing to the table, but what you want from a partner, and then how to really build a win-win positive relationship. And there's lots of examples of ways to do it, and it's not one size fits all. But understanding what you have to work with and what you can partner on is making it a win-win for everyone's important.
Lori, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing insights from your current work, but also just reflecting on your experience and sharing that with us. And thank you to everyone who's joined in to listen and ask some questions.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Great. Thanks a lot. Thank you for listening to today's discussion. Follow UIIN on LinkedIn. And if you're enjoying our podcast, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review in your podcast platform of choice to help other people find this content too.